Served pretty well. Hit the big forehands and did the right things on the big points, but need to kind of clean everything up a little bit.
You play Steve Johnson next. What are your thoughts on that match, and how well do you know him?
I mean, I've known him. We've been really good friends since we were 12 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we've played doubles this whole summer. Played him in Atlanta. We were kind of bummed when we saw the draw. It's not fun to play your friends, but it happens, and we'll get through it tomorrow. And if he wins, I'll be happy for him. If I win, I'm sure he'll be happy for me. But we played in Atlanta, and it takes a few games to kind of get into the match.
Yeah.
It's always a little awkward at the beginning, but we'll be fine once we're out there.
Do you remember the first time you played?
I don't. I'm sure it was in the 12 and under somewhere in California.
Yeah, in the past, you said one of the toughest decisions you've had to make was, between going pro and, deciding to go to college, and, especially now a lot of top players aren't going to school, including Steve Johnson. So can you talk a little bit, upon reflection about that decision of yours and, where the field is going now, going back to school?
Yeah, I think every case is its own. It's very individualized. When I was 18, I'd won 3 challengers before school started. I won rounds in all the tour events during the summer. I won a round at the U.S. Open. So for me, it was pretty obvious, that I was ready for the tour and ready to kind of go out there and not go to college. But for Stevie, for John Isner, for Bradley Klon, at 18, they weren't at that point yet. So they needed that, those years in college to really develop their game, and it's really worked out for them, and the way I did worked out for me. So I think I don't think it's something where we should, push kids like every 18-year-old, you got to go to college, or vice versa, you got to go pro. I think you got to look at each person individually and decide kind of where they're at.
Talk about the year you've had so far. Looks like you've had trouble getting traction like you normally do in the summer.
Yeah, my year's been pretty average. It's been a lot of one step forward, 2 steps back. I'm struggling to kind of put 2, 3, 4 good days together in a row. There's days where I've played a great match, and then the next day I feel like my level drops quite a bit. So I just need to kind of find that stability kind of at a high level. I just haven't quite found it yet.
Marty Fish came out today and kind of opened up about his anxiety problems he's been having. Doug Robson wrote about it. Have you talked with Marty lately, and kind of what are your thoughts on him?
I have not talked with him in a while, but I didn't know that was out. I'll have to read it.
Yeah.
But I live pretty close to him in LA, and he seems happy golfing, and he's got a little baby, so I hope he's feeling better with the anxiety problems. I'd love to see him back on the tennis court, but it's up to him, and I'm not sure what he's thinking.
Are you feeling that you could get some momentum this week and put it together?
Yeah, I mean, last year, I had a pretty bad summer at the start, and then got it going here, made the semifinals. So I'm hoping I can do that again. It's I've played well here in the past, so hopefully I'm going to try my best to keep it up.
It's been you and Isner at the top of the rankings for a while, and now I think Young and Johnson are up there. Does that motivate you more to kind of get up there with the rest of the Americans, or how are you feeling?
No. I'm really just worried about myself. I'd rather, I'm trying to, kind of like I said earlier, I just want to get my level back up to where I'm feeling good and putting strings of wins together. And, in the meantime, I'm cheering for all those guys that are all my buddies. I want them to do well and keep moving up the rankings. But, yeah, it's an individual sport. I'm worried about myself.
And can you just talk a little bit about your memories of the Americans you watched growing up? Was it Sampras and Agassi? Is that who you remember watching?
It was really Roddick and Blake. I didn't watch a whole lot of tennis when I was 10, 11, 12 when Sampras and Agassi were playing. I really didn't start watching until I was 14, 15, 16, and that was when Andy won the Open and James was right there, and even Marty was kind of making a run, and Ginepri. So it was more those guys.
And do you have any thoughts on the up and coming Americans, guys like Noah Rubin, Jared Donaldson?
Yeah, I mean, they're all really. It seems like there's a good group right now. And Taylor Fritz and Steven Kozlov, they all did well at Wimbledon. Francis Tiafoe seems pretty good. They've got to make that transition to the next level, but there's a good group of 5 or 6 18-year-olds that I think in 4 or 5 years time could be kind of the next group of guys. So hopefully they can do well and put some results out there.
Any last question?
Any difference now at age 26 or the last couple of years that you've changed in terms
My routine stayed relatively consistent. I do a lot of running. You know, I would say the only difference is now I feel like I practice, most of the time I'll practice, you know, one longer session when I'm home, maybe 2-3 hours instead of break it up, just because, you know, a lot of times as being a bigger guy, maybe it takes me a little while to get going that second practice, or my knee might be a little sore. So I usually go one practice now, but still do a lot of running, and for the most part it's the same.